Basically, Wuthering Waves, what they were doing, they weren't trying to kill Genshin. They wanted to capitalize off Genshin. You do not have guarantees that what you're doing just because it's superior doesn't mean that you're gonna have more of a popularity than an already existing popular thing. It just and this proves it. Genshin Impact, despite it being not of a more polished product or as good of a product as Wuthering Waves in terms of a video game, it's still more popular. The best example I can give is Pokemon. Pokemon, the new games suck. We all know Pokemon is garbage now. It's not the games we fell in love with back in the day. Pokemon died around Gen 8. And so why is it still the biggest IP in human history? Because it's just very popular. Because it's fucking Pokemon. Jesus Christ, it's stupid bike skins. Who fucking cares? If anything, one might argue they're not being predatory enough. So recently, a creator named Analytical Vibes has made a video about Wuthering Waves that has got the Wuthering Waves community on fire. They're really mad at him. And now, okay, let's just be clear. This is still a video game that sells anime girls. There's not much reason to be mad at the man this much, right? But still, in true internet fashion, where people like to, let's just say, dunk on others to feel better about themselves, there was going to be a bit of this. And also, let's just say some of the things you were preaching are somewhat inaccurate. That has definitely ruffled some feathers. It even got me a little bit heated. Not too much, but you could tell a little bit where I'm like, what the hell are you even talking about, man? Like, what are we on about? And the reason why that it triggered me is because I feel like we have to be in the same page in terms of what we think are more pressing matters as to what the devs should be fixing. Because stuff like the transducer, what the hell is that still doing in the game? We get to see what we're gonna roll in echoes. That would be nice. Echo XP, just because we have had more time to, let's just say, get Echo XP and stuff like that, doesn't necessarily mean that problem is fixed. It's still doing the same old system. That's annoying. We also have the 50-50 system still being present in the game, especially with a whole new flush roster of characters. It makes it that's a layer of RNG that no one appreciates anymore. It's just bad, especially when you consider how the space is evolving when it comes to even whether it's the gacha, because we are in the anime space. The gacha is a subsection of the anime space. And I feel like the anime space is really evolving and growing, and we have different avenues. For example, games like Ananta that don't even want to include the gacha anymore. We also have games like NTE that has just revamped how the gacha system works, where you have a whole casino now. It's very fun, and also no 50-50 whatsoever. You got even more skins and stuff like that. There's clear improvements to some of the aspects of the Hoyo formula that Wuthering Waves themselves are also applying. And I want some of those improvements to be in Wuthering Waves as well, because Wuthering Waves is currently my favorite gacha game, right? NGE is a close second, but because, well, they're technically almost the same, to be honest with you. Just that Wuthering Waves has more polish and graphics, therefore that's why it's number one. And plus, I spent more time on Wuthering Waves because, well, it came out first. What do you want me to say? And so anyway, that's really my stance when it comes to this personally. You saying that the skins, Wuthering Waves making skins, is a bad thing, and that Kuro is bleeding and they're not doing well financially, has got to be the craziest take ever. And complaining about skins, really? And also, worst of all, after you got the backlash, because as we all know, he responded to the backlash, he responded again, and that shit did not go well. Now, I heard recently that apparently he privated the first response video. Let me just confirm that that is the case. Oh yeah, that bitch is gone. Oh yeah, he privated that too. So he wanted this to be the response. Wow, well, tough luck, I guess. When things don't go your way, you just private make another video, and in before he privates this one, he makes a new one again. Hopefully this time things go his way. But I feel like the reason why people are still aggressive towards him is because he comes off, I think Saint Tonta is trying to paint him as an enviosity. I don't think that's necessarily accurate, but I can see where he's coming from. The ego you have makes you a bit like enviosity. That's really where you and the slime have a lot of in common. It's definitely in terms of ego, in terms of not taking accountability for obviously putting your foot where your mouth is, and it makes you come off very dislikable. And also when people are telling you where they're coming from, you're supposed to relate. And let's just say when you're gonna talk about issues in the games, that should touch the majority of the community and not necessarily the minority. And if you're gonna do that, you have to do it in a mannerism that, let's just say, isn't gonna ruffle feathers of the majority. And I feel like you failed to do both. Now, the first one, doing it is fine. Like, look, if you want to talk about just a nitpick, an issue, the only people that are gonna have an issue with that is a bunch of kudu bats, because kudu bats are the ready. They actively seek people to go at. That's the highlight of their day. But besides kudu bats just need someone to, feed off of. And so besides those people, no one is really gonna criticize you nitpicking and sharing issues that, let's just say, just a small minority of the player base have to, let's just say, are annoyed by, as long as your mannerism is good, which I feel like unfortunately you have failed. And in some of the critiques you have, let's just say, you went too aggressive at Kuro, and therefore a lot of people, you just, which made you sound a little, you have a lack of knowledge. I'm sweet like that. Instead of actually you cooking, right? You didn't really cook there. You cooked yourself, really. You overcooked. You burned the kitchen and burned yourself off with it. And so anyway, the reason why we're talking about this, of course, is, as mentioned before, he has brought back the video that has started all of this bullshit. And now we get to, finally see everything, because we just had some clips here and there. It's time to finally, let's just say, dig in, watch all of it, and give our fair thoughts on the entirety of the sentiment he's sharing. So without further ado, let's see if maybe, just maybe, we could have, fell for out of context stuff. Maybe he was right all along. We don't know. Now we're about to find out. Let's do this. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to not miss any updates.
I guess I better go subscribe to VXV Gacha.
Kuro Games is not the same as it used to be. Wuthering Waves used to be a forefather of generosity and lack of greed in the gacha space.
Oh, okay. So Wuthering Waves is not the same in terms of polish and optimization. Wuthering Waves is definitely a better game than it was day one, but also for generosity and stuff like that. I mean, for sure, but this is just a tactic. Like, we all know what they're doing. Like, I feel like by the time Renacida ended, we just, we started to just accept it. Like, it's just going to be the way they are, because now they're just very popular, and Corpa does what Corpa does, which is trying to maximize profit. Really, Wuthering Waves is doing exactly what you would expect. Well, for example, I like to give this analogy a lot in terms of these gacha games, but I feel like it's the most accurate. It's like they do what a prostitute does. It's like if a prostitute, it's gonna do what a prostitute does, just trying to milk as much as possible. Once you're infatuated. What was the term I'm looking for here? Once you've been charmed by them, they're gonna milk the shit out of you. That's right, because ultimately they're not necessarily after you, the player. They want you, the player, to be infatuated by their IP so that they can make more money out of you. That's basically their goal. They don't want to just, the age of developers just creating good video games because of artistic desires are long behind us. It's all about money now.
Paving way for other gacha games to come through to be even more generous when fighting against the greed of Genshin Impact.
No, Wuthering Waves done what they did at the start of the game because of there was a lot of players that were starting to get really upset about how the game came out. In terms of, it was known as Buggering Wave. Things were really rocky for Wuthering Waves at the start for people that didn't have performing machines, and so a lot of players were upset. So Wuthering Waves had to basically do damage control. So really, it is generous of them still, but the fact is, it was a business move more than anything. Like, we'll just call a spade, right? Like, we all know this. Now, I've been playing WoWa since day one. I've been, waving the flag for WoWa. You know what I'm saying? I'm Team WoWa and all that, because I really wanted the games to succeed and everything. And thank God we did good, ladies and gents. But the fact is, it was all business.
At the very least, that's how it used to be. But nowadays, it seems as though Wuthering Waves is actually becoming less generous over time, and Genshin Impact is becoming more generous over time. It sounds absolutely absurd and
wait, so you're saying Genshin Impact is more generous now? Okay, because I'm not too sure what's going on in Genshin, so let's see.
ridiculous to say, but you'll see what I'm talking about shortly. In this video, we're basically going to be talking about how Kuro Games sold their soul. They want to be part of the big boys, Genshin,
Yes.
Honkai Star Rails, Endless Zone Zero, and be in the conversation of the big four. And yet they
Well, they already are. What do you mean they want to be in the conversation? They already are. Like now it's just a matter of sustaining, trying to go above them, and maximizing profit as you do so. It's basically it. Because they don't. Because see, the problem is Genshin Impact is at the top not because of quality, but because of popularity. That's the reason why Genshin Impact is at the top. Whilst obviously WoWa, when you ask your average gamer and you compare Genshin Impact to WoWa, obviously WoWa is the superior product. Facts. Like that's just there's no debating there. But Genshin Impact makes still more money because it's just more popular. And one thing about popularity is you can't necessarily control it. You can do what you can, but just because you work hard doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get the results you want in terms of how society or how the market perceives the product. It's just a fact. Look at YouTube. I think the best example is YouTube videos. Some people put their heart and soul in certain YouTube videos or movies, whatever have you, and they still flop. They still don't do well. It's not the quality. It's just that the market and people just didn't respond to it. That's it. It's just and people like what people like. That's why marketing is a whole job, is because it's a complicated matrix of the structure of society. It's very complicated. And so yeah, man, what do you want me to say? Is I mean it's all in black and white. It's just the fact is WoWa cannot guarantee itself the fact that it's going to be more popular than any of these IPs. So all they can do is make sure that they stay true to what made them, well, Wuthering Waves, which is quality, polish, making sure the game is as fantastic as it is. And whilst they're doing that, well, it's time to start, let's just say, maximize profit in true Corpa fashion. And they're going to do what they're going to do. That's basically Kuro's strategy. It sucks to be on the receiving end when it comes to certain predatory practices. But all in all, we understand where they're coming from. And when you understand where they're coming from, people tend to be a little bit more tolerant towards the shit. Doesn't mean we're not going to bitch about it. Like for me, for example, recently with the 1.0 banners, that whole big banner rerun thing, no buffs for those units. They're just washed. They're giving you a 10 pull to incentivize you there. It smells. It's annoying predatory shit. Still the 50-50 system. It's just super annoying.
keep employing practices that you only see in lower tier gacha games that aren't AAA ones. So why is it that they want to have the reputation of being a big dog, and yet they keep using the tactics found in lower tier games? Now, I say lower tier not in the sense that they're worse games, but in the sense that they just don't have as much budget, which would make them not AAA, because AAA is indicative of budget and only sometimes quality. And all of this greed that has been changing Kuro over time really culminates in the Cyberpunk collab, where it is so greedy, so egregious, all you can do is shake your head at how unbelievable it is.
Yeah.
We're also going to talk about how did we get here? What even happened? How
The only logical explanation, I said this before, I'll say this again. When it comes to Cyberpunk Collab, the only logical explanation is that paycheck for CD Projekt Red, a huge studio. They're the ones responsible for The Witcher 3, a game that has literally set the standard for video games going forward. That's a big studio. That paycheck must have been big. And most importantly, one of the factors that can allow you to, let's just say, take it is you're paying for quality. I feel like that was like the mentality in which I approached the Cyberpunk collab. And if you want quality, you're going to have to do a little something. Yeah, you're going to have to do a little something. And low-key, here's something that I feel like a lot of people don't want to talk about. I think, and this may ruffle some feathers, but this was just my experience. Lucy was actually cheaper to get than other units. Because I may not have had the pity, right? But they still gave me free pulls. So I used those free pulls, and I only got one copy of Lucy. I just got the one copy. I used the corals also in the banners, trying to get it. I got it early, thankfully. But even if I didn't, Lucy is still cheap. She was cheaper than other characters. And because you're still gonna pull in the golden banner, the classic premium banner, keeping pity there is fine. It definitely is shocking, especially if you converted the materials, Sag. But all in all, I feel like for your classic gacha gamer that understands how things work, Lucy was actually cheaper. That's right. Because you get 20 free pulls. You only have like 50 remaining to get to pity. I don't know about you, but I get to keep my pity in the premium banner. I have 20 pulls here. You just get her. Because right now I have Lucy, and she's performing decent. I didn't get her S3. I feel like she still does a good amount of damage. I'm not gonna sweat too much over it. Okay, I'm a free-to-play plus. I just get the monthly pass and call it a day. I'm not gonna get an S3. They can kiss my ass. And so, I feel like if you don't want to take advantage of the whole tassets, the dupes, all that shit, she becomes a very cheap character to get. And I feel like that's the whole point. If you are content with just getting the character as a collectible, Lucy in terms of damage isn't as good as are the existing units. She's not even that predatory. She's just a collectible. As long as if you're more meta oriented, she's an easy skip, if anything. I know what I'm saying may ruffle some feathers, but these are facts. These are facts, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I apologize. I know I sound like a true kudu bat right now. I'm sounding so kudu batty. I don't think I've ever sounded so kudu batty. But that's just a fact. Like, you gotta call it for how it is, man. You gotta do it. The fact is, get 20 free pulls for Lucy. Considering the new roster of characters, having the pity remain there is a positive. You need it anyway. Getting just one copy of Lucy is more than enough if you just want her for the collectible. Why? And also, you're more enticed to do that because, well, you don't have to chase her power, because I think even in S3 she finally starts ranking with the other units, therefore making her an easy skip, because this is the same thing that applies to previous units where you need copies to make them as competitive as new tier 0 units that are just at S0. So in true gacha understanding, that's an easy skip meta wise. So all in all, the more you break down the Cyberpunk collab and how people approached it, the less predatory it becomes, surprisingly.
How did Kuro get like this? All right, let's talk about it. This really starts with skins. Kuro Games has been adding an alarming amount of skins in the game. They've been
an alarm. It's not enough. Alarming? Bitch, we don't have enough skins up in here, man. We need more skins. Skins that we can buy off shell credits, stuff like that, maybe a new resource. I don't know. They got to do something like NTE where we can get, skins. Fuck's sake.
Adding skin after skin after skin.
More skins.
Now, normally, this is totally fine, because skins in gacha games are par for the course. You'd see skins in Genshin.
Oh, so there it is. He knows. So he knows. Okay. See, that's why I said watching the full video would be the best way to dissect everything he's trying to say.
Sorrows and the Zone Zero. It's an additional way to make revenue off of characters. Now, normally skins and Wuthering Waves cost between zero. It's an additional way to make revenue off of characters. Now,
based. There it is. He knows. Based.
Normally, skins and Wuthering Waves cost between $20 and $30. Now, in a normal context outside of this genre, that's obviously a ridiculous price. However, I've seen cheaper skins like an NTE.
This skin is crazy, bro. This skin is crazy.
Skins can be $15, as low as $15. In Tower of Fantasy, skins are as high as $100. So,
what?
A $20 to $30 skin.
No wonder that shit flopped.
Then again, this Jinsei skin is $50. That's actually like
that's $50. God damn. I remember paying $30 because it came out. You have the bonus of being there.
Quite average in the
Changli one is the best skin, hands down, in terms of summer skin.
Space is exactly what you would expect in all of the AAA gachas. So this isn't a problem. Not to mention, many of the skins that Wuthering Waves makes are really high quality, and the players love them. Right, Chun-Li's skin is absolutely phenomenal, fantastic.
100%.
Carlotta's skin is
I just had to get it.
It's actually worse than her base outfit, but people love Carlotta, and it's good enough, right? It gives a different vibe on the character. One of the rare cases that a skin is actually worse than the base design. How strange. But that's not the issue, because they're not only adding skins for characters, they're adding skins in other areas too, in particular, bike skins. This is basically where the problem starts. Bike skins have been plaguing the game ever since Kuro has introduced the motorbike. They're adding multiple bike skins.
The reason why this is happening, obviously, because the bike is something unique to Wuthering Waves. And so Wuthering Waves, what they're trying to do is to try to make it an even bigger deal, which tells me, and this is actually comforting, that the bike might stay with us as we go to new regions, which is a positive. Because if they were to tell me, if they were to go in 4.0, you do not get to use the bike anymore, they're going to feel my wrath. They will. Because what the fuck you mean? I'm paying for skins and everything, and I can't use the shit no more. Oh, that'll piss me off, because an argument can already be made that you cannot use this in the previous zones. That's annoying. If you were to tell me you don't use it in the future one, now that you have actually put in the skins, oh boy, Because okay, in terms of coding for the previous ones, yeah, sure, whatever. But for the future ones, I don't know, guys.
That cost as much money as skins despite only having a fraction of the development time. $25 bike skins is absurd. No matter how good a bike skin looks, it's crazy for them.
Yeah, if we're gonna complain about the pricing, 100%. These should be like $10, $5.
To sell a bike skin to you for $25. Of course, that's not only where it ends. They're also adding other skins in the game for your wings.
Dude, I'll be honest, you just scoff at that and you just keep it pushing. This is like when you go to the store, you see an item, you're like, oh, I wouldn't mind getting that. What? How much? Y'all ninjas tripping. You just put that shit and say, hey, where's the normal stuff? Where's the stuff I get all the time when I get here?
So we have this $10 wing set right here where you get wings that they glow. They have this glowing trail behind them. You also get 300 astrite. Obviously, it's up to every individual person to decide whether this is a good value proposition for them. So I'm not telling you whether, whatever, we don't even need to.
But obviously, the general consensus is going to be that's too damn high. It's too damn high. We all know it's too damn high.
Let's talk about that. A $10 wing skin. Okay, that's interesting. These bike skins, generally speaking, look pretty good. So this is not a scam in the sense that they're selling.
I'll be honest, they should have been more customizable. For example, the one with Amieth here. Maybe I don't want to have Amieth in the picture. I just want the effects. Should have had that.
Selling you a $25 bike skin that looks bad. Like in other games, there's a skin and it looks bad and it costs.
For example, like I just want the flames. Like I don't want to see Amieth there. There's just, I don't know. I just don't feel it. Maybe the Gundam and just the flames. I'm good. They should have had more customization abilities in the pictures.
A lot of money. These skins actually look pretty decent. Sure, less development time and more lazy than
they feel lazy. I was just about to say it too. They do feel lazy.
Character skin, and yet they can make a large sum of money off of them, but they actually are giving you a value proposition. Here's a really good skin that looks pretty good going around the world.
Yeah.
It glows, it gives a trail, it's very interesting, and you get other perks alongside the skin as well.
Yeah.
Of course, not only those characters get bike skins, we also have bike skins for other characters like Linne, Yuno, and Chisa. Okay, so now the bike skin problem is really starting to ramp up. These are $10 bike skins.
See, you're going off basing on the fact that the bike skins are even a problem. For the most part, most players do not give a flying fuck about these. This is like it's like the bundles where they tell you, oh, for $10 you get like 5 poles and some Astra. It's like, ooh, what a steal. That's a one-time purchase. We don't give a fuck. Ain't nobody gives a fuck about those. You typically just, max thing you're gonna look at is like the monthly pass, battle pass. Those are the best value proposition in terms of purchases, and we all know it, especially for small amounts. That's it. These are the forbidden zone. This is the ban list. This is banned. This doesn't exist in the game for us. For the most players, it's just not there. I know it does for some, but for the most part, this is just banned. It doesn't exist.
Once you start seeing how much skins Kuro Game has added, you're going to start to see the problem unfold before
itself. Think about this. $25. Why not invest that more into pulls so that you can get maybe the SIG for your favorite character? Like, there's so much more value okay, so I have to spend $25 in the game. Where's the best value for me to spend the $25? Obviously, it's not going to be in the bike skins. 100%.
Now, at the end of the day, this is kind of where things stopped for a while, right? Bike skins, character skins, and everyone was kind of like, oh, it is what it is, to each their own. Yeah. What are we even complaining about? Okay, but once a company kind of enters in a new realm, they don't only stop there. Now they're adding new accessory skins on type of characters. I mean, this is about as lazy it could possibly get.
Yeah, this is pretty weird. $4 for this should have been $1. We all know this should have been $1. That's it. If I want it, I can just spend $1 and get it. Should have been free anyway, but like if you have to monetize it, it's $1. What the fuck? $4? You must be out of your mind.
Linne and Mornier are getting accessories, a pair of glasses for $4. A halo above Mornier's head for $4. Okay, now things are getting a little strange here. A $4 purchase? Now, this is probably the cheapest the skin is going to be. Why is that? Because this is in USD, and when you start converting to other currencies, it'll be more expensive. I mean, it's absurd.
Yeah, for us in Europe, it's more expensive. It's like $5.
Of glasses for $4. Of course, Kuro Games is trying to be a little generous. So after this version is over, these pair of accessories will be reduced to 400 astrite, which is about 2.5 wishes, which is phenomenal.
Wait, so basically, if I wait, I can just buy them with astrites? Well, that's a W. I didn't know that.
remarkable. So it's a little strange. You'll find that throughout this video,
Well, it's for people that can't wait. It's just people that need to flex somehow. And so, yeah, it's for flexers. It's for people that have validation issues in their lives, and they do co-op. And so they're like, hey, did you see my Halo? You know what I'm saying? They just want to be different. You know what I'm saying? It's sad, really, but I get it. I do. I've been like that before. I'm not going to shit on it. But it's just wake up from it, please.
the answer of what's going on here is for money. Why is it that it costs $4 now, and yet if you wait, you can get it for 2.5 wishes? I mean, that's a scam. There's absolutely...
He's taking advantage of a sentiment for the weak-willed, for sure. That's kind of what they do, by the way. It's kind of like I said earlier for the whole prostitute thing. It's the less, the weaker your will and the weaker your control and discipline, the more they can take advantage of you, and they're gonna do that in different areas. Yeah, taking advantage of the loneliness you may have through selling you the waifu experience. And if you want to flex in front of your friends and get something that they don't have, you can do that for cheap for getting the Halo and stuff in your co-op. Yeah, if you need more validation, you can do that. That's what they're doing. They're taking advantage of some of the lackings you have within yourself. It's what they do.
Nope.
It's sad, but that's this is the same as complaining that a gay guy is approaching you at a gay bar. We are at the gay bar. They're gonna do this shit. Stuff like this is gonna happen.
No reason at all to purchase this skin whatsoever. Of course, unless you really want to give them your money. Except, out of everything that I've shown you thus far, this is literally the worst value proposition of all time. At least with these other $10 skins.
It's just that you don't get it. It's just that you don't get it. But once you understand where they're coming from, it makes sense.
It's kind of
still sad though, but here we are.
The same, right? You kind of purchase this skin for $25 and you get it, and that value stays the same for everyone. Here, you're kind of literally getting scammed. It's a scam because of the price decrease. Okay, that's only the beginning. Honestly, this is
all. It's not a price decrease. You can buy it with different currencies. Not really a scam.
Bad, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. As I said, it only gets worse. They started adding skins in the game that you can't buy directly. Okay, now we're getting somewhere new. We have this doll on Denia, and unfortunately, you can't just go into the accessory.
Oh, I got it. Oh, I remember. Yeah. Well, I think it was properly timed because it was in the Cyberpunk. In this patch, the more you spend in terms of pulls, the more you unlock the store and you can just get them. I think I got all the accessories. At some point, I had to spend on the weapon banner in case I get an early. And that's it, because when Lucilla came out, I already had everything. I just spent more on the weapon, got her weapon because she was a Rapid Fire freaking user, got the Lucilla, and that was more than enough to get everything. Easy.
Shop and spend $4 to buy this skin. Now all of a sudden, I'm kind of switching my argument. All of a sudden, the problem has gotten worse because now you have to do other steps that are more predatory than just being able to buy the skin.
Well, if you are getting the characters, it's not a problem, but if you're not getting the characters, that is tough.
Somehow, on its head, suddenly, just being able to buy a skin is actually generous. In order to get this Denia skin and other skins that I will show you, for example, this Hiyuki skin,
there it is,
where you kind of just get this hair accessory. This is not available in the shop to buy directly, because chances are, if you can buy something directly, it'll be cheaper. Instead, for this Denia skin, the only way to get it is to get a special currency called Spindrift. Now, you can no longer get this. It's already passed. The event's over. But in order to get Spindrift, which is the secondary currency, in order to get, here we have Hiyuki accessory right here. Here's a Hiyuki cube that you can put on top of the bike.
I got that one
Here's
too.
The Denia doll, and I believe there's an Imeth one somewhere. You have to summon wishes in order to get Spindrift, which gives you have to summon a certain amount of times, to get Spindrift in order to get enough currency to purchase the skin. Now we're getting a little bit more greedy, huh? I can't just spend $4 all of a sudden. Now I have to spend potentially hundreds of dollars in order to...
It's not a problem if you're pulling anyway. It's a problem if you're not planning to pull. That's it. And I feel like the way they did it was kind of smart, because I feel like it lasted for the first half of the next patch for the Cyberpunk. I'm pretty sure, because I've seen it. It was available. So basically what they did in the Denia and Hiyuki banners, very, very popular banners, very powerful units. If you're pulling, which a lot of people did, you get to have a bunch of bonuses. So in that scenario, this is just a bonus. This is just whoa. Thanks, Kuro. I mean, shit. I mean, I was pulling anyway. When you get me all of these limited little premium types of accessories, well, shit, we appreciate you, baby. That's what happened to me. This was my experience. But I also noticed that the next patch around the start within the Cyberpunk collab, this was still available. I did notice it was there. I remember seeing it. And so if you pulled for the Cyberpunk, probably the most collectible banner in the history of Wuthering Waves, you get to take advantage of this as well. So yeah, I feel like the way they went about it, the formula, I understand the spirit of it can be predatory, but the application made it very less predatory, where it became a bit of a non-issue. It's still an issue, but the way they went about it, very tolerable. It's all good. It's fine. It didn't affect most players. So therefore, it becomes a bit of a non-issue.
Summon 10, 20, 60 times, 90 ties in total, and then you have to get a recurring, repeatable refresh for Wishing Here. Of course, this also functions on the weapon banner, where you can use Spindrift in order to get the accessory as well.
Yeah.
Now that is an interesting twist of
I had to do that
All
too.
of a sudden, not being able to buy the skin makes things a little bit worse. Of course, here's the Hiyuki.
Yeah, I got the
Cube that
Hayuki
you can
cube too.
purchase
It's
through
cute.
Spindrift on your bike.
Yeah, I
so
got
now
it.
here's more ways in order to accessorize your bike.
Yeah.
Now we
Kind of
have
sucks low key because my butt looks like a Hayuki cube. You know, when you're driving, I mean, that's where your butt. That's where you see the lower back. You just see a Hayuki cube. So my butt is a Hayuki cube now. God damn it.
have a little bit.
I'm
a little
thinking
bit
about
more
taking
greed.
it off.
Okay, now this isn't all in order, but this is an order of egregiousness. We have this rover crown that's on the rover's head. I want you to
This
guess
was the,
within 1 second how much you think this rover crown costs.
A spending event.
I mean, this is just a small little crown on the top of someone's head. You can get this during the anniversary.
It looks stupid too.
This crown
Doesn't
costs
even
a
look good.
whopping $100. It's a reward you can get in the 3.1 spending event. Now, in the
Oh,
grand
$250. Okay, yeah, no one cares. We just don't give a shit for the most part. I'd say here's the thing. I know some people do. People that try not to get everything, but for the most part, for people that the average gamer, the average gacha gamer, the free to plays, we don't give a flying fuck, man. We don't give a shit. I would say even light spenders don't give a fuck, man. Ain't no one getting that shit, man. Fuck that. Look at it. It looks stupid too.
scheme of how that spending
So whilst yes, I understand once again the spirit of it is definitely problematic. I know that's what he's trying to say. But because of how little of an impact it had on the player base, it starts to become a nitpick, and considering the way you're going about it, yeah, people aren't gonna take kindly to your type around, yeah.
event played out, it's not even really that bad. Generally speaking, right? The spending event had bad rewards, and because the rewards were bad, people weren't pressured to spending. So the vibe was, generally speaking, this was actually just a gift to the community.
I'll be honest, I think it was Captain Cabinet, I can't remember who. Basically, they said, no, the spending event should have given you more. Should have been more enticing, because if I'm spending anyway, because if people that are spending anyway, they get a bigger kickback. Which makes sense, actually. Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
If you want to spend money on iMyth, which a lot of people were going to do anyway, then these would effectively be free rewards. So in the grand
Precisely.
context, it's fine. But in the limited journey that we're going to be going on more and more greedy practices that I'm going to be showing throughout this
What?
video, this $100 crown is disgusting. It's like completely
Okay,
out
let's
of place
see.
in this game. Now, a question has to
Where's
be in
the
your mind by
question?
this point. Why is Wuthering Waves adding so many skins? It's bizarre. You do not see this level of skin pushing in other AAA gacha games. Sure, people actually complain in other gacha games that they don't add enough skins. People will often say in Genshin, "Oh man, if only they added more skins,
Yeah,
then I would add." Why
we
is
do.
Kuro not as why is Hoyo not adding more skins? I would be
We do.
spending more money in Hoyo if they did. But adding skins is an admission of inferiority
Here we go.
in the gacha space, because you're basically admitting that you can't make as much money on characters, which is why you're selling more skins. More on that later. But before I go into that, we need to talk.
The origin of this sentiment is games like Snowbreak. Like I said before, I think it was Snowbreak. I'm not too sure because I came to the gacha space through Genshin Impact. Like I'm not the biggest gacha connoisseur, but from my understanding, games like Snowbreak, basically, it's kind of like what Xenoblade Zone Zero does. They switched to Goon. and they make their characters more goony. And when they do that, typically they like to follow it up with skins as well, so that way they can fully maximize the goon maxing for the player base, so they can let's just say get more money out of them, because Snowbreak was once a failing product, right? The game was failing, it was crashing down, and the only way to save it was through goon maxing / skin maxing the goon. So basically that's what he's coming from here.
About the Cyberpunk collab, which is the ultimate culmination of greed that Kuro Games has been exhibiting. Let's talk.
Okay, so the way I just mentioned the Cyberpunk collab for the free-to-plays, it's not. This becomes slightly inaccurate. But if you are a spender, it's very predatory.
Talk about that. The Cyberpunk collab features Lucy and Rebecca, two interesting characters from the Cyberpunk series, and they're pretty epic, pretty sick. Lucy looks insanely good, she looks epic, and Rebecca was given for free. Now, everyone will tell you that the Cyberpunk collab was a fantastic event. Everyone loved it, everyone thought it was awesome, and because it was so epic, everything that I'm about to complain about will kind of fall on deaf ears. Because it was so good, so brilliant, that many people actually consider it a proper ending and epilogue to the Cyberpunk anime. It's so good, it's considered canon. And yet, Kuro has used this good faith effort of delivering you a fantastic 10 out of 10 product to derive as much money out of you as possible. And in one way, you might say to yourself, okay, I mean, isn't that worth it? I mean, Kuro definitely put in way more effort into this collab than Genshin did with Aloy, which was an absolute joke. So they deserve the money. Maybe. Okay, I mean, it could. Let's talk about what they did, and you can decide that for yourself. So as we know with this collab, they had this spending banner system, where the more pulls you do, you get refunded on the pulls, and then you can eventually pull a certain amount of times and get these selectors, and you can select the character sequences.
Yeah, I just got free 5 pulls from this, plus the 10 they gave me, plus the 5 from the event. That was like 20. Yeah, that's basically it.
And basically, up to 160, it's kind of actually worth it. It's like one of the greatest things Kuros has ever done.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Whoa, pause. Now, obviously, if you lose the 50-50 and you get all the way over there, yeah, sure. It enables the 50-50 to not feel as it doesn't sting, because you still get your S1. You know what I mean? So it's good. But like in terms of incentive to make me, for example, someone that got an early Lucy to go all the way there, looking at the future roster, you're out of your damn mind. I'm not doing that shit.
And then the pools kind of get more and further apart. Then you get 420, which is kind of ridiculous.
It's tempting. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, Chad, you know what I'm saying? It is tempting. Huh? You know what I'm saying? Considering the advantage I already have, I wouldn't mind getting an S3 Lucy. You know, because like you see that Tacit there, it's like I can get it for cheap. You know what I mean? That's too much money. I just can't excuse myself spending this much money on a 2D anime Betty. That's not even my girl. That's David's girl. Know what I'm saying? She can't get over her ex. Like that's it. I can't. I just can't. I don't. You know what? Never mind.
Ridiculous. But Kuro Games is a very forgiving system. Thus, if you pull enough times, surely you will be able to get these sequences and get these characters.
For sure.
Unfortunately, on this banner specifically, Kuro actually changed the rules on how the banner functions.
Yep.
We'll notice here that in Kuro Games, there's a special shop called the Coral Shop.
I hate it.
The Coral Shop is basically this unique currency that you get when you pull on a banner, and you get the currency back when you get dupes of characters. It's a way to affect.
They still keep their deuce. The deuce they dropped on us is still here, man. It's actually more expensive here than I think the normal Coral Shop. If I'm not mistaken.
Get refunds for other things that you want in the game. Perhaps you get refunded for getting a dupe, and because you got that dupe of the weapon or the character, you're able to get more pulls, more weapon pulls, any of these cards, this Phantom for Echoes, and basically resources. It's very useful. Now, when you got refunds in the Cyberpunk collab, they changed the rules on how much you get refunded in this collab.
Yeah.
Let's just read it.
That was an L.
Okay? Because there's no commentary I can do that's better than just reading it. On obtaining a 5-star resonator for the first time, you will receive 12 corals. On obtaining a 5-star resonator that you already own, you will receive 1 wave band and 12 corals. From the 8th time onward, you will receive 30. Okay, sure. On obtaining a 4-star resonator, you will receive 2 corals. On obtaining a 4-star resonator that you already own, you will receive 1 wave band and 2 corals. From the 8th time onward, you will receive 5. 4-star weapon, you receive 2. 5-star that is not the featured one, you will receive an additional 25. For the weapon banner, we have 2, 2, 5. On obtaining a 5-star weapon for the first time, you receive 12. 4-star weapon, you will receive 2. Now, this is all very interesting. We're going to be cross-referencing, so you don't have to have these numbers in your head already, but we have for us available the Coral shop that's regular.
The normal
now, the
one,
Coral
okay.
regular Coral shop is phenomenal. It's great. You're able to get sequences for 5-star characters, which is what people wanted
That
to
does
do
help.
here. They wanted to be able to get sequences for 5-star characters by getting the refunds. Now, the first thing you'll notice
I
is
got
that
a
in order
Morning
to
8 for
spend
40. That was great.
360 to get the sequence for Lucy or Rebecca, you have to obtain 480. That is bizarre. So in order to spend 360, you
That has got to be the biggest L I've seen when it comes to Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk Collab penalizes you for wanting more. It just does. It's super. If you're a whale, it's after you. It's maximizing profit off whales. If you're free to play, you don't give a fuck, boy. I don't give a fuck. But for whales and spenders, they are literally just sitting there with their dick out, and they're like, "What you gonna do about it?" And here's the sad part: they knew you were gonna suckle on it, and you were gonna like it.
actually have to get over the amounts that you need first, which is ridiculous. You obviously
Yep.
don't need to do that for the regular one. Why would you need to get more in order to spend? Well, obviously because of greed, and that's not all. When in the base coral, you get more corals on the refunds. It's so greedy. On obtaining a 5-star for the first time, you will get 15 afterglow corals. On obtaining a 5-star that you already own, you will get 1 wave band and 15. From the 8th time onward, you will get 40. So we're kind of going to speed run through this, but I'm just going to cross-reference the numbers in real time right now. We have 15, 15, 40. Here, we have 12, 12, 30. Huh, that's strange. Okay, we have 3, 3, 8. Okay, sure. We have 2, 2, 5. Okay, that's interesting. 4-star weapon, you get 3. Okay, what's important? Whenever you obtain a 5-star that is not the featured, you will get an additional 30. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you obtain a 5-star that's not, you get an
just get
additional
25.
25.
That's right.
Huh, that's interesting. And that's all of them. And now, obviously, I do not have not obviously, but I forgot to get a screenshot of the weapon one, but you'll imagine that all of these are different as
They're
well.
the same.
So, not only do you need to get more corals in order to unlock these extra sequences, but you actually get refunded less corals per dupe than in the regular amount of generosity in the game. That's disgusting. That's like the worst thing I've ever seen Kuro do, ever. What is this? Now, I want you to think about everything that we've kind of spoken about thus far, right? We have the $25 bike skins. We have accessory skins that cost $4. We have multiple limited time $10 bike skins. We have more and more accessories and character skins costing more money. We have a wing glider set. All of these other methods, all of those skins that you only see in lower tier gachas, and then they have the audacity to come out and fundamentally change all of the rules in the Coral banner for the collab, where gacha games are expected to be more generous, more giving, with more generosity, and yet they just kind of just crap on the player base, requiring more resources.
Spenders. Or the spending part of the player base. Important distinction. Yeah. If you're a spender, this can be very tricky to navigate. If you're free to play, you just don't care. I'll be honest, for me personally, I just don't care. I don't give a shit.
Resources for less pulls, and they change the rules. I mean, it's disgusting. You'll notice that in recent times, Kuro Games has been collabing with more and more companies.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like it's not inviting. You know, I can feel the allure. I can feel their soft touches on my face. I can feel it. I'm just built different. So I'm good. Just hurry up and get the fuck out of here with this banner, so that way I can just free myself completely from the temptation.
The reason being that Kuro Games is not satisfied with the amount of players that are playing the game. Basically, here's what happens in gacha games. When players aren't playing the game, or at least less people are playing, there's less people available to spend money. And when less people spend money, more egregious practices have to occur.
What are you talking about? If we go to the Steam chart of Wuthering Waves in the previous month, okay, you know what? Let's do the previous 6 months. In the last 6 months, Wuthering Waves has peaked. It has never had this much players in since God knows when. They had at some point 49,000 players, around 50,000 players, bro. And now they have like 16,000 players like actively playing right now. What are we talking about? Wuthering Waves has never been this successful. It's doing really, really well. Just relax. What do you mean they don't have enough players? I feel like Wuthering Waves is organically growing, and it's a beautiful thing to watch it unfold, man. Especially if you were here day one, man. That's amazing. Because here's the thing, I don't think, because Wuthering Waves came out very rocky. You know what? Let's do something fun. If we notice here, there's obviously the launch. The launch typically is where things go crazy, and the game starts to slow down. So I think this is 2025. This must be when 2.0 came out. right? It did pretty well. So you can see the jump here. See, the game wasn't doing good. It wasn't doing good. This is where it was post-launch. The Black Shores, Renacida. It started jumping up. See, we're no longer at this level. Wuthering Waves grew since launch. It started slowing down, of course, in true gacha game in transition of 2.0 to 3.0. 3.0 hit. It wasn't doing the best over here. This is 2026. I think this is when 3.0 hit. La High Road didn't really slap. And you will notice a spike here near the end. That has got to be the Cyberpunk collab, which is backed up by the fact in Steam charts, you can notice there was a huge surge of players and a huge spike coming in from the Cyberpunk collab. This is how Wuthering Waves history is. If anything, they never had as many players as they had before. So kind of inaccurate here.
In order to make up the missing income from the existing player base, we'll have
now this is maximizing revenue considering the new levels of popularity they have reached. Actually, it's the opposite.
Collab here with Kaiju number 8, a collab here with Persona 5 and Sonic, and Persona 4 or 3, one of those. We have a collab here with Angry Birds. We have a collab here with Resident Evil 30. There's so many collabs in order to get more people to play the game. Wow. Now, how long has it been so far? Holy crap, it's been 18 minutes. That's disgusting. It is what it is. This video will take as long as it needs. Now, we talked about...
That didn't age well because he regretted later that it was too long. He said so as one of the excuses as to why this video didn't do too well. It wasn't what he was saying. It was because of the length. It's because he included Genshin Impact. All these excuses besides the fact that he just burned the kitchen while cooking.
About how they sold out. We talked about the ultimate level of greed ever before seen in a collab. Still a brilliant collab, but nothing I've said.
Okay, fine. I'll go ahead and say it. Tell me you're black without telling me you're black. The collab.
Those are literally the numbers. Nothing I said changes. Now we need to talk about how did this happen? How did we get here? What happened to Kuro Games that made them change their mind on being generous and using all of these low-tier practices to make more money? Unfortunately, like all problems, it all starts with Genshin Impact.
Damn.
Which is a game that Kuro bots can't keep out of their mouth, me included. Now, make no mistake. Wrong image. Genshin Impact. Make no mistake, Genshin Impact is a
I prefer the first one.
Phenomenal game. This won't even be me crapping on it, like many people want me to do. I think the game's great, and I pretty much exclusively use Genshin Impact music in all of my videos because it's
They do have good music. Well, one might hate on Genshin, but they got some banger music there.
superior, in my opinion, to most music in gacha games. Let's talk about the history of what happened in the battle between Wuthering Waves, Kuro, and Genshin Impact that has led to Kuro Games doing all of these practices. Basically, here's what happened. When Kuro Games launched, at least here's my theory of what happened.
Man, Inazuma, that takes me back. Those were some damn good days.
When Kuro Games launched,
I was so naive. I didn't know. Well, I could feel that the game could be better, but I was more tolerant. That's for sure.
they positioned themselves marketing as the Genshin Impact killer. They were the people who were supposed.
Well, that was Sour Fantasy. They just over here, basically Wuthering Waves, what they were doing, they weren't trying to kill Genshin. They wanted to capitalize off Genshin. Different approaches. Maybe attempting a, let's just say, same final results, hopefully, if they can, but they understand that this is the thing, popularity is a little hard to control. You can definitely influence it, but you do not have guarantees that what you're doing, just because it's superior, doesn't mean that you're gonna have more of a popularity than an already existing popular thing. It just, and this proves it. Genshin Impact, despite it being let's just say not of a more polished product or as good of a product as Wuthering Waves in terms of games, in terms of a video game, it's still more popular. And the reason why is because Genshin Impact encompasses a different type of player base that is easier to target than Wuthering Waves. That's it. It's not that complicated.
Supposed to be competing with the big boys. Turns out,
popularity
Kuro
is
had massive optimization issues.
different, man.
Because of these issues, the game was effectively manhandled by Genshin and other gacha games at the time, and a lot of players just left. Right? It had a huge exodus of players, and it wasn't able to maintain them. Of course, gacha games never really recover, but Wuthering Waves somehow rebounded in version 2.0, where
100%.
basically it was able
We
to
just
get
seen
a
it from the
large
charts.
number of players back, despite all of
Well, it did, because the 2.0 was so good. It was almost a new game. It felt so fresh and new.
the issues. But it never fully recovered from that huge era. Now, in order to make a monumental comeback like Wuthering Waves did, it needed a lot of effort in its character animations. You notice that there are certain animations in Wuthering Waves that are just superior to every other gacha game in the space, right? It's superior
100%.
in Imus animations, in Hiyuki's animations,
Yes.
in Cardathia's animations, in Carlotta's animations.
That's their signature. That's what makes Wuthering Waves Wuthering Waves.
animations. I mean, if you compare the animations pound for pound for any Genshin Impact character or any sequence in the game at all to Wuthering Waves animations, it's obvious that Wuthering Waves wins. And Kuro was beginning to get increasingly upset that despite the fact that they're putting in more effort per character than Genshin, they're only making a fraction of the revenue. It's almost a sense of disrespect. Why is it that we're putting in so much effort only to get mogged by Varka, a character who literally has the same animations as Razor, a 4-star character in Genshin Impact? We're getting mogged by Genshin's worst characters of all time, and we're putting in immense effort. In fact, think about this. One of the only times Wuthering Waves has surpassed Genshin in revenue was in 3.1 with Imeth, an absolute landmark monumental unit. They were able to get, the censor data is unreliable. They were able to get around 30 million plus in that month. Maybe they made more, but that's like the lower end. And Genshin in that month only made around 29 million because it was Varka. And they paid a price despite his reused animations. I guess the community did not like it as much. Think about that. And it was
also in terms of power scaling, Varka wasn't powerful. I think that's very important to keep in mind. And plus, he's a male character. Though he is legendary, I think the fact that he still made 29 million is pretty impressive, if anything.
Genshin's worst months of all time. Think about that. In order for Wuthering Waves to surpass Genshin financially, it has to have its best performing month of all time during Genshin's worst performing month of all time. They're literally...
Not necessarily. I feel like Varka was nostalgia bait. And the fact that it still managed to get that much money is still something to be applauded, because that shit took way too long, bro. It actually took way too long. And the fact is, Genshin Impact is still the same game we used to know. It didn't change that much. The evolution isn't that noteworthy, and because of that, a lot of players aren't necessarily going to stick around, want to maybe get more copies, get SIGs, etc. They're just not going to do that, and so it'll suffer from that. But still, 29 million is still very impressive.
Getting mogged financially, and Kuro Games is not happy about that. Now, in the perspective of a gamer, you might say to yourself, Vibe, what's the problem here? Kuro Games is literally making so much more money hand over fist than any single player game in existence, certainly more than Hollow Knight, Silksong, or Expedition 33. So why is it a problem that they're clearly making enough money?
Yeah,
now, in our minds, we're comparing Kuro Games to single player games, and that seems like a fair comparison, but that's not the comparison that Kuro Games is making, and why should they? They routinely compare themselves to their competitors. Why should they compare themselves to single player games? At the very least, if that's not the comparison they're making, then it might as well not matter in their minds, especially when it comes to financial decisions that they make. So they're comparing themselves to Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, and they're saying we're putting in all this effort, not making as much money as these games. We need to use other avenues to get money. And that's how we've been seeing how Kuro Games has basically admitted, unfortunately, that it's unable to generate as much money as these other games when it comes to character revenue themselves. The Kuro characters...
It's like I said, most of the revenue that comes from the Hoyo games is through the popularity that Genshin Impact has created, followed it up by Honkai Star Rail. I feel like those are the two biggest IP Hoyo has managed to make. And so they, they're just very popular. They have a very popular IP, kind of like Pokemon. The best example I can give is Pokemon. Pokemon, the new games, suck. We all know Pokemon is garbage now. It's not the games we fell in love with back in the day. Pokemon died around Gen 8. And so why is it still the biggest IP in human history? Because it's just very popular. Because it's fucking Pokemon. Are you going to compare stupid Pokemon Gen 8 and above to AAA titles? You can't. Obviously Pokemon is inferior there. But why is Pokemon still making that much money? Because it's fucking Pokemon. That's it. There's not much explanation besides it's fucking Pokemon. Most people know Pikachu. Most people know Snorlax for reasons. And so, yeah, popularity is what really makes money. Wuthering Waves, unfortunately, despite it, once again, being a superior product, simply does not have the popularity. One thing I learned the hard way, and one thing a lot of people have learned the hard way, just because you work hard doesn't necessarily mean you will get the results you want. Popularity matters. How the market is receiving to the product you're trying to sell matters tremendously. People like what they like. This is, I feel like he's failing to see that, and I can see the fact that you're failing to see that makes, unfortunately, what you're trying to cook here not hit as much. The fact is, we don't need... Here's the thing. I'm low-key, and I'm going to say it. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't want my favorite gacha games to be top tier. Because if they're top tier, they're just going to do the same bullcrap Genshin Impact does. Or Pokemon does. Because you got to understand, Genshin Impact is copying Pokemon. Obviously, duh. In case for the people that didn't know. I think it was Aethoma that said it. And he just hit the nail on the head. The fact is, big popular IPs simply become the laziest as possible. It's insane. because they don't have to do much. They're already there. Slopping, there it is. I'm a slop tuber because this is just my hobby, all right? But the fact is, for bigger creators, slopping makes total sense. For me, I'm almost shooting myself in the foot, really, in terms of wanting to reach certain things. But obviously, my approach is more of a hobby, more so than, you know, a market. I need to succeed type of approach, right? So yeah, it is what it is. And plus, I like to just have conversations like this, which can come off as slop, but I think it's fine. I try to give as much value as possible. People, if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And it is what it is. But obviously, in terms from a marketing standpoint, it's slightly different. If you're very popular, if you're very successful, you can just slap your way out of it and people are still gonna garble everything. Slash, if you're not that popular, you still have to sustain the quality of what keeps people invested in your IP, and try to maximize the profit of the things you already have, because this could be as good as it can get, believe it or not. So yeah, once again, remember, just because you work the hardest doesn't necessarily mean you will get the results you want. And considering how the market responds to the product you're offering, to the things you're offering, is what will make or break the hard work you do. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of sad, kind of a Debbie Downer take, I know, but that's just the reality of things. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't work hard or do things. The more harder you work, you maximize the odds of actually getting that success. Always keep that in mind. But again, it's odds. There's always the luck factor. People don't like to admit it, but luck is very important to success and popularity.
Are just not as enticing and generating as much money because they're just not able to get as much players as Genshin Impact. And all of these methods are just an admission of that. Straight up. And
it's sure, but for the wrong reasons that you're mentioning. It's not for the reasons, because you're trying to say that they're doing that because, oh, we can't get this, so let's just we're failing, so we need more money so that we can keep doing what we're doing. It's kind of what you're trying to paint here, but it's not the case. They're just like, look, this may be as good as it can get. Let's just maximize the fuck out of this. We're as popular as it can get recently. We're gonna have to step down the gas, maximize profit, and keep going from there. We are a company. We are in the business of making money, so it is what it is.
Resorted to using lower level tactics of endless skins in order to make up that
Bro, it's bike skins. Jesus Christ, it's stupid bike skins. Who fucking cares? If anything, one might argue they're not being predatory enough. And having let's just say skins that we can buy off Astride, for example, instead of a 10 pull, you just get a skin. That would be a massive W. I think the only issue for if they were to add more skins is that you have to spend for the currency. Instead, what they can do is just allow us to use Astrides. That would be a huge W. And if you don't want to, you can just buy them. Maybe they can have, if you buy them with Astrides, it's slightly more expensive than if you were to spend, for example. They could do something like that, like kind of meet us in the middle. And I think people will still be happy for it. Because we want skins, we want different avenues to express ourselves with our characters.
Kind of sad. Now, in a way, there's a reason why all of this is happening. And it has to do with the fact that normally gacha games start off greedy and get more generous over time. We've noticed this in Genshin.
It's actually the opposite. They start generous and then they become greedy. Kind of Conquest Star and stuff.
Where in the beginning they had no pity on their weapon banner, leading to Tectone spending $2,000 on Staff of Homeless and never getting the weapon. I mean, absolutely disgusting. I mean, the game is ridiculous. And then they changed it to now you can lose pity twice and you get it on the third. And then they changed it to now you can lose pity once and you get it on the second time. So they successfully used a generous model over time in order to maximize the amount of pain and suffering and money they can make off of their players in the beginning. That's
flashbacks. This is what introduced me to the gacha space. I'm having good flashbacks.
What Genshin did, and now it's gotten better over time. That's like the path they take. Kuro Games started out with insane levels of generosity. In particular, the sequence shop in Kuro Games is nuts. Basically, you're able to get in the Wuthering Waves sequence shop sequences for a character directly. Now, if you plan accordingly, you can get sequences for certain characters and effectively make that character permanently effective on your account forever. If you think about it, 360 to get a sequence for a character is 45 pulls worth of currency. In context, that's nuts. You're basically guaranteeing that you win.
I don't know. I just don't value copies a lot because I feel like they don't add as much value to the account as getting a brand new, fresh character. So I don't know. For me, this is still a lot. I just don't value sequences as much because, well, originally the character's supposed to come with all their sequences. That's the product. and then they just downgrade it. And if you want the upgrades, well, you gotta spend more. Ugh, so annoying.
50-50 for a character by
predatory
giving
too.
up 45 pulls. Imagine you were pulling on a banner and you had 50-50.
But
and
who cares? We can still clear end game. So they just make your life easier. They're more of a quality of life, if anything. So who cares?
You pulled 45 pulls and you got the character early and won 50-50. That's what it means to.
They should do like NTE, by the way. Now that I think about it, why can't I choose which sequence to unlock? And they should do that too. Like, why the fuck don't we have that?
Purchase a sequence from the shop. If you have 720, which is double, that's 90 pulls. Imagine in 90 pulls, you get a character twice, early, both times, in 45 pulls, and you win 50-50 back to back. That's what it means to purchase sequences from the shop. That is so generous that if you buy sequences for Imeth, for Hiyuki, or Cardathea, or any of the important characters, you're literally set for life. Imagine in the Genshin shop, you can purchase sequences for Farina, for Mabuika, or any of these other characters. It would be
Oh yeah,
absurd.
they don't have that in Genshin Impact. True. Never thought about that. True.
Kuro Games also had a weapon banner that did not go through the same journey as Genshin, right? The weapon banner is guaranteed from day one. So imagine
Well, they've seen what happens. So
how much revenue Kuro Games lost because their weapon banner had a pity at all.
they didn't lose revenue. They actually made revenue. That's a bit of a hot take, I know. But people like me would not even touch the weapon banner if it wasn't for the 100%. And I'm in the majority of the player base. That's actually smart. I know. That's, hey, look, I know that's shocking. But we wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I think I speak for a lot of free-to-play players when I say we would not be touching them bitches in the weapon banner, especially for collectors. Like, we want a lot of characters. And I feel like the characters is where most of the fun and progression comes from. We rarely get SIGs. The only time we will get a SIG is through the Coral shop, where they give you the patch reset. You get like 7 pulls. You keep compounding those until you eventually get a SIG. So you get a SIG from time to time, but that's as far as you go. In true free-to-play fashion, we typically do not touch the weapon banner. We don't. So, but because it's 100%, and if I see, for example, I have compounded, for example, like 40 pulls, I'm close to the SIG. I really like this character, but I just don't have enough through the chop reset. You know what? It's fine. I'll spend an additional 15 pulls. What the hell? Or 20 more pulls. What the hell? I can just get the SIG. You know what? 30 pulls. Fuck it. Early 30. I'll just mental gymnastic it like that, and I can get the SIG for my favorite character. Why I can do that is because I know if I spend the 30 pulls, that's all I need to 100% get the weapon. Huge difference. That's right. I know. It's shocking. I know. Might have ruffled some feathers on this one, but that is true. That is the experience for a lot of players. Not everybody, but for a lot of players.
Genshin's never had a pity, and Kuro did. Kuro literally lost hundreds of millions of dollars.
No, they actually made more millions of dollars from that shit, man. Because it's cheaper, therefore people are more incentivized to even spend on it.
Because of the generosity in the beginning. So it's not even comparable between the two games. The second is the standard banner in Kuro Games allows you to separate the two banners and target a standard banner weapon. And one of the greatest weapons in the game has always been this sword and the gun. And whenever a new character comes out...
Genesis and the Static Mist. But I feel like we're kind of losing... we need rectifiers especially. Gauntlets are fine. I think even broadswords are fine with the new high royal ones. But we need a good rectifier. What the fuck are they waiting for is beyond me.
Kuro knows that if they make the character have a sword, or if they make the character have a gun, and they are like a regular scaling character,
I love gun and sword users. They're my favorites.
Players will default.
Gauntlets are fine too, because Luke, you can just slap the standard ones, I think, and you're fine too. Plus, it looks good on him too.
That weapon, saving even more money. So despite the fact that the weapon banner is already more generous than Genshin, you don't even have to resort to it because there are fantastic alternatives on the side.
Well, it's because we don't have good 4-star ones. That's actually by design. They kind of have to. The 4-star ones are terrible. We don't even have the Black Cliff one like the Genshin Impact one, where they have like a series of weapons you can buy from the Coral shop that give you crit damage. Like, at least they're decent stat stick. Like, it's very hard. The Favonius series, those are always good for support units. It's like, come on. I'll be honest, like the 4-star weapon feel between Genshin Impact and WoWa are nowhere close. Genshin cooks in terms of weapons. I never really even felt the need to get a signature weapon. Almost never. The only one was Staff of Homa. And what else? The Raiden Shogun. And there was still the catch. The catch was still fine, but it was annoying to get. I don't. She was an Archon. Look, I like to style my Archons, all right. But besides that, like I never had an incentive to pull for SIGs ever. 4 stars were fine, and considering the power level of the end game content, really, the incentive isn't necessarily there. Besides just the feel of having the complete set of the character. Of like I got the character to SIG, maybe even some copies. Hell yeah. Nah. It never really mattered. But for Wua, it's very hard because the 4-star weapons all fucking suck. Some support ones are okay-ish rarely, but for the most part, you kind of want the 5-star, at least the standard one or the SIG. I would argue there's a bit of a conversation to have over there, but we kind of got used to it. We're navigating it okay, but sometimes it does catch up to us. But since it doesn't catch up to all of us at the same time, like I said before, it becomes a bit of a non-issue, more of an individual issue. Like when someone complains about it, like, they got you, huh? I'm fine, so therefore I can't relate to you right now. But maybe when I do, I might, I might relate to you then. But then at that time, maybe you have moved on and since recovered, and so yeah, we keep, I hope I'm making some sense.
That allow you to clear the content anyway. So Kuro Games started out being so generous that the only way to continue to make money over time is to become more greedy. Obviously, I'm not excusing Kuro's behavior on all of these bike skins and this absolutely disgusting Cyberpunk collab rewriting of the rules, but it is a minor explanation on how Kuro has changed. They've effectively said to themselves, listen guys, we were so generous in the beginning that the rules have to change if we want to continue competing with all of these upper AAA gachas, okay? At the end of the day, it's not even clear to me how to end a video like this, because I don't hold any animosity towards whether...
I think he deleted some parts of it. I think I remember him saying a Hoyo Shield type of take, because they're not making as much money as Genshin Impact or something like that. I think he removed some of the things here. I could be wrong.
Waves, despite all of the egregious things they did in the Cyberpunk collab, or the increasing amount of skins. I'm not angry about it. I'm not emotional about it. So it's not as though the end of this video will be, F Wuthering Waves or anything like that. But it is clear that Kuro has kind of admitted inferiority in generating character revenue than other AAA games. And they're resorting to the tactics you'd see in other small AAA gachas in order to squeeze as much money out of you as possible. Now, this is not even all of these things Kuro Games is doing, it's not even the greediest things I've ever seen, right? I mean, Genshin Impact did the most greedy thing I've ever seen in a gacha game of all time, considering its standing. It debuted 2 brand new characters on the same side of a patch, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
They debuted Citlali and Mavwika, who's an Archon, brand new characters on the same side of a patch. I've never seen that before. Yep. Imagine if Wuthering Waves, by comparison, debuted Augusta.
Mavwika is so fun. Like, people can say whatever they want. She's so hot.
And Yuno, who were in the patch 2.6, I think, on the same side of the patch, and the second side was reruns. It doesn't even make any sense. Why would you do that? That's literally rewriting the rules in a way I've never seen before. That makes the Cyberpunk collab look like a baby compared to what Genshin did in that moment. So if we were to compare pound for pound levels of greed, Genshin has its own fair share of examples. At the end of the day, what can you say? Except, wow, Jesus Christ, what a game.
There it is. Now we have a little bit more context. All in all, it didn't really change much. It still feels like it's missing a lot of points, unfortunately. It's a matter of perspective again. His perspective and his experience makes what he's saying a bit of a reality. I can understand where he's coming from, but the fact is, this is just the way things are. What do you want us to say, man? What do you want us to say? It's not much of a complaint, and you just trying to dunk on them for how things work that's not how things are, man. It comes off like you're just being condescending, a bully, a Hoyo shield, and obviously, if there's one community that really dislikes players that are coming off like that, is definitely the Wuthering Waves community. So yeah, people are gonna flame you for that shit. But yeah, all in all, I feel like if you really take a bit of a backseat and remove some of the, let's just say, aggression, there's a bit of a conversation to be had, like I just tried to have here, because I feel like it does expand, let's just say, our viewpoint in how, let's just say, corporations work, how the communities respond to some of the business practices they do, how the community in itself work within itself, or interacting with other communities within itself, as in free-to-plays and spenders and whales, etc. How the company is trying to capitalize on each and individual part of said communities. I feel like that's if it comes to that, which I feel like this conversation does allow us to, let's just say, talk about this stuff. I think all in all, it's been productive. It sucks for Analytical Vibes, unfortunately, because he went about it the wrong way. But I feel like as a community, I feel like this was a constructive conversation for everybody. I feel like I don't know about you, but I learned a bit. It really triggered my mind, and I found myself noticing some things I haven't noticed before. So yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.